Imagine this. You're at a crowded party, laughter ringing like hollow bells, conversations overlapping in a dissonant hum. Everyone is smiling, but their eyes are distant, glazed over with the strain of performance. And then you notice him, the quiet one, leaning against the wall, observing, never joining in. There's an unsettling intelligence in his stillness, as if he sees something the others don't. Later, you overhear someone dismiss him. He's just shy, or arrogant, probably both. But you wonder, what if his silence isn't weakness, but defiance? What if he isn't failing to connect, but refusing to? Here's the paradox. Society worships intelligence, yet the smarter someone becomes, the more they retreat. The most brilliant minds in history, Newton, Kafka, Tesla, Emily Dickinson, were recluses, misfits, or hermits. Even today, the deeper a person's thoughts, the more likely they are to vanish from the crowd. Why? Is it because intelligence is a curse, an isolating lens that reveals too much? Or is society itself the problem, a machine that rewards conformity and punishes those who see through it? Consider this. The average person speaks roughly 7,000 words a day. But what if the truly intelligent have nothing left to say? Not because they lack ideas, but because they've outgrown the script society hands them. What if withdrawal isn't surrender, but a silent rebellion? The question lingers, heavy as a storm cloud. Why do the smartest among us so often choose exile? The answer lies in a hidden collision between the human mind and the world it's forced to inhabit. And the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. This isn't just about solitude. It's about survival. The retreat of the intelligent is not an accident. It's an inevitability. To understand why, we must dissect the silent war between deep thought and the machinery of society. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. This is the crux of the problem. Society operates on consensus, repetition, and shared illusions, currency that the highly intelligent mind cannot spend without self-betrayal." Carl Jung warned of the tyranny of the collective. The smarter a person becomes, the more they perceive the contradictions, hypocrisies, and unspoken rules that others blindly accept. They see the script, the way people perform happiness, success, even morality, and recognize it as theater. But pointing this out is social suicide. So they face a brutal choice: play along and suffocate, or walk away and be labeled arrogant, cold, too serious. Arthur Schopenhauer, the philosopher of pessimism, called it the penalty for excellence. He argued that ordinary people find comfort in herd thinking, while the intelligent are cursed with clarity. The more you see, the lonelier it gets. But it's not just philosophy, psychology confirms this rift. The Dunning-Kruger effect shows that the less intelligent someone is, the more confident they are in their opinions. Conversely, true intelligence breeds doubt, self-questioning, and an aversion to shallow discourse. The smarter you are, the more you realize how much you don't know, and how little most conversations truly explore. Jean-Paul Sartre captured this in No Exit. Hell is other people, not because people are evil, but because social interaction demands masks. The intelligent grow exhausted by the performance. They crave depth, but society rewards noise. They value truth, but the world runs on platitudes. So they withdraw not out of misanthropy but preservation. But here's the unsettling twist. This isn't just their problem. It's a warning about society itself. The withdrawal of intelligent minds from society is not a quiet, victimless phenomenon. It is a slow-moving catastrophe, like an ecosystem losing its keystone species. A culture that drives away its deepest thinkers begins to starve itself of meaning, innovation, and truth. Consider the Gresham's law of discourse, the economic principle that bad money drives out good, applied to ideas. In an attention economy, shallow, sensational, and emotionally charged content dominates, while nuanced thought gets pushed to the margins. The intelligent recognize this trap. They see debates reduced to slogans, art flattened into algorithms, and relationships commodified into social capital. To participate feels like self-mutilation, so they leave, but their absence creates a feedback loop. Without dissenting voices, groupthink accelerates. Without those who question, dogma hardens. History shows this pattern. Societies at their peak cultivate thinkers, while declining empires silence or exile them. Rome had Seneca until Nero forced his suicide. Vienna birthed Freud and Wittgenstein until fascism scattered them. The same dynamic plays out subtly in our digital age. Neurologically, this is a crisis of cognitive overload. The intelligent brain is more sensitive to dissonance. The constant barrage of contradictions in modern life triggers a stress response. A 2022 study in Nature found that people with higher IQs experience more mental fatigue in socially chaotic environments. Their withdrawal isn't elitism. It's a biological recoil from unsustainable noise. Culturally, the consequences are darker. When deep thinkers disengage, the void fills with influencers, demagogues, and corporate puppeteers. Huxley's prophecy in Brave New World materializes. A society so distracted by pleasure and trivialities that it doesn't notice its own collapse. The intelligent retreat further, becoming modern hermits, writing in silence, coding in isolation, creating art no one will see. But this is not a fate to romanticize. It's a silent scream. The question is no longer why they leave, but what remains when they're gone. The withdrawal of the intelligent is not surrender, it is the first stage of a quiet revolution. But exile alone is not enough. To truly break free requires something far more radical, a reconstruction of reality itself. History's greatest minds have always operated on the fringes. Nietzsche wrote in solitude in the Swiss Alps. Emily Dickinson composed nearly 1,800 poems in the seclusion of her bedroom. Tesla's most brilliant visions came during his years of self-imposed isolation. Their retreat was not an endpoint, but a strategic repositioning, a way to build a new world at a distance from the old one. The modern thinker faces the same imperative. The solution is not to reject society outright, but to redefine engagement on one's own terms. Consider the Stoic gambit, the ancient philosophy of focusing only on what you can control. In a digital age screaming for attention, the most subversive act is to cultivate selective ignorance. To unplug not out of despair, but to preserve the mental space for original thought. This demands a ruthless prioritization. Replace consumption with creation. The intelligent mind decays when used as a passive receptacle for others' ideas. Build parallel systems, small circles of depth in a world of shallow connections. Embrace antisocial productivity, the understanding that most socialization is performance, not progress. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning reveals the core truth. Those who survive chaos are not the strongest, but those who retain agency over their inner world. The modern thinker must become a psychological architect, designing a life where withdrawal is not escape, but the foundation for a new mode of existence. The rebellion begins when you realize society's rejection of depth is not your failure, but its own. And in that realization lies an immense power. Here's the devastating, liberating truth: society does not want intelligence. It never has. What passes for smart in cultural discourse is merely useful intelligence, the kind that generates profit, wins arguments, or entertains without disturbing. True intelligence, the kind that questions foundations and sees through illusions, has always been treated as a threat. From Socrates' hemlock to Galileo's house arrest, history's pattern is clear. The world rewards thinkers only in retrospect, after it has finished silencing them. This explains the Great Withdrawal. The intelligent don't leave because they're broken, they leave because they're whole enough to recognize the game is rigged. Their exile is not defeat, but the ultimate act of integrity, refusing to contort their minds to fit systems built on lies. But there's a final twist, one that changes everything. The most profound minds eventually discover that total withdrawal is also a trap. The goal is not permanent isolation, but achieving what Kierkegaard called the teleological suspension of the ethical, transcending society's false binaries to operate beyond its categories altogether. This is the paradigm shift. You don't have to choose between engagement and exile. You can construct a life where depth and freedom coexist. Your intelligence becomes not a barrier, but a compass. The ultimate realization? The world needs your withdrawal temporarily so you can return transformed. Like Nietzsche's Übermensch creating his own values or Camus' Sisyphus finding meaning in the push, the intelligent must become architects of a new reality. Not by fighting the old world, but by building a better one in the spaces it ignores. The final question isn't why smart people withdraw. It's what they'll do when they're ready to come back on their own terms with fire in their eyes and new worlds in their hands.